and I will step out of character for a moment. R, no, that's her part. R. I'm more I, ahoy. Swab the deck. Yeah, you guys just keep the jokes coming. So I thought it's great to see you all here today. I thought it'd be fun to show some pictures today. I got some beautiful pictures, photos from my friend Anne, who just came back from Italy. So she emailed us some of her pictures, and I thought, oh my goodness, these are such amazing pictures. I got permission from her to show them here. So anybody been here before? It's the coast of, is it Afaldi? It's on the coast of Italy. It's a harbor. It's a harbor. So I thought that was pretty cool, pretty beautiful picture of a harbor along the western central shore of Italy. I think it's fairly close to Rome. So isn't that just gorgeous? Ooh. And then they actually did go to Rome. Can you identify that building? It's not the Presbyterian PCUSA Center in Louisville. It looks something like that. It's the Vatican, yep. So that's Anne and some of our friends who were at the Vatican, and Yulia was there, right? She knows it. And then also in Rome is this impressive architectural wonder of the more recent world. Do you know what that building is? Colosseum, lots of history. Not all of it great for Christians or animals, but just, isn't that just impressive how massive that old structure is? Wow. And then I think I have one more picture. Do you recognize that Italian city with the canals? Venice. I believe it's Venice. Isn't that just beautiful? Oh, I just thought there were such beautiful, beautiful pictures. And then later in the week, I thought, that was not the Apostle Paul's experience about getting to Italy today in Acts 27. So kind of a contrast there from my friend's trip to Italy and the Apostle Paul's trip to Italy. I think he had some, but it was nonetheless very adventurous and memorable, was it not, today in Acts 27? So what made Paul's trip to Italy a little bit different than my friend Anne's? One was Paul was a prisoner. So we had so many props going on today. We didn't add chains to the mix, but he was a prisoner, and we've been following that story from Acts chapters 21 through 26, how, he didn't do anything wrong, but he came to the attention of people within his own group who did not like what he was saying. His idea of reform or expanding or sharing, his experience of God did not go down well. And so people in his own group were very agitated by him, threatened by him, and, began to be violent with him. Because of that religious drama, the Roman soldiers and Roman law kicked in. And in this case, Roman law was their friend. The Roman soldiers and the local government there by Jerusalem and in Caesarea protected the Apostle Paul, kept him alive, and then also gave him a day in court. There were many days in court. He kept testifying, hey, I'm just telling you my experience with God. I don't mean any harm here. Just sharing my experience of God. So he made it through religious court and Roman court. And finally he said, I want to speak to the emperor. And the emperor of the empire was in what city? Rome. And Rome is in Italy, which is quite far away from where he was. So it was a bold vision that he had. And for some reason, the Roman governor and local king Agrippa said, well, he appealed to this law, we're going to follow the law. So we'll let this prisoner go and tell his story to the emperor. So how are you going to get to Rome? They boarded a ship. So he got aboard a ship, as we saw today. He traveled along the coast of Asia Minor, and eventually they got to the island of Crete, just off the peninsula in Greece. So that's where we picked up the story that we read aloud today. They were on the island of Crete at Fair Havens, or Good Harbor, and we decided at Bible study that was a poorly named harbor. They were there, and they just wanted to go up the coast of Crete, just a little bit further, find better winter headquarters. And the Apostle Paul said, no, that is way too dangerous. Don't do it. Don't do it. But then what did the ship owner, the captain, the crew, everybody else, did they listen to Paul? They did not listen to Paul a lick. The captain was just like, no, what does he know? Let's just keep going. And when they kept going, a massive hurricane blew them off course. Massive. Thinking about a hurricane, I thought, a hurricane, a day, 2, 3 days. This was so massive. The book of Acts calls it 14 days, 2 weeks out there, blown away from the island of Crete, blown into the middle of the Mediterranean or Adriatic Sea, and it was miserable, miserable. You got the drift, right? From Time for Discovery today, it was really, really terrible. So they did not listen to Paul, the indignity of that. Paul was a prisoner. Paul was proven correct. But there, after many days, Paul got the gumption to speak again. And he said, you know what? I've stayed in touch, I've stayed in communion with my God. And I have been given a vision from my God, a God of love and justice, that I'm going to make it through this, and so are all of you. And his message to everybody aboard the boat was, be of good courage. Have courage. And all of us are going to make it, but the ship won't make it. So he shared the vision, and he also saw how some sailors were trying to hop off the boat, hop off the ship, and get in a lifeboat and just, protect themselves. And he pointed that out and said, no, we all need to stay on the boat together to make it through, to make this work. So the others aboard the ship all stayed aboard. And then Paul said, I noticed we haven't been eating for a couple of weeks, so let's have a bite. So he followed up his vision with service and kindness and care. And for us as Christians, we see the symbolism of communion in how he navigated aboard the boat. He took bread and he gave them something to eat. So communion in the middle of this terrible, terrible storm. And then, sure enough, the ship ran aground. It was wrecked. They lost all their cargo, but every single person made it to this little island called, did you catch the name of the island? Malta. So it's off the Italian coast, and that is on that flag, it's called the Maltese, it's like a Maltese symbol. So they made it. So Apostle Paul, my friend Anne, I think I would prefer Anne's trip to Italy overall. How about you? Life is suboptimal, and the Bible shows us there will be rough seas, and yet we can remain faithful and find God's purpose in the middle of it. In our Wednesday study this week, it's kind of a corny expression, but it's kept with me. We're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. Here we are on this ship of the earth. We're all on it together. And what can we do to survive? Times will be uncertain, times will be suboptimal. We may hear some bad advice. There may be differing opinions about what to do. So what does Acts 27 point us to? Well, it strikes me that on that island of Crete, the Apostle Paul was correct. He had wisdom and guidance for what to do. He was a prisoner, but he had guidance for the people, and the people didn't listen. The captain, the owner, the soldiers, other people with vested interests in the boat moving forward, they didn't listen to Paul. And that's going to happen on this ship of life. We're going to follow bad advice, and that's going to lead to bad times and terrible weather. That's going to be part of it. It's going to make us sick, maybe a little seasick, but just need to have, keep it'll be stomach lurching. But we got to keep our stuff together. And Paul was able to keep his stuff together. He kept in communion with God. He got a vision from God, and he had the nerve to share his vision again as a prisoner to all these people who did not listen to him before. He brought it up one more time. I saw God, I saw a vision. We got to keep our courage together. We got to stick together. Don't go on your own. We got to see this through in order to save life. And we can't be trying to save the boat or the cargo at this time. We got to major in the most important things. That hopefully is what we learn at church. This idea of how we live on this boat together with differing points of view and danger, and none of us is perfect, and it's going to be suboptimal, but how do we set the course? How do we manage to survive? The Bible shows us that we can override our fear. Perfect anthem for today. Fear can be overridden. I think in so many cases, the choice is fear or faith. At one point, thinking about this, I thought, well, there's fear, and then there's kind of pretending there's no problem, and then there's faith. But I thought pretending is a form of fear also. There's fear, and there's faith. In the church, hopefully, we're learning to pay attention to faith in a God of love and justice who shows us the way of surviving the boat together. God shows us it's not just about me surviving, or me and my loved ones surviving, or me and my family, or me and my little group surviving. That's, important. It's primal. It's how we survived living in dangerous times. But in this new creation of Jesus Christ, we break free of that idea of survival to new life and an idea of how we're all together, we're all loved by God. It's going to be tricky. People are not going to believe us. There's going to be differing points of view. But we as the church, and guess what? The symbol of church is a boat. Have you seen that on stuff before? We as church, maybe as Discovery Church, as church in our era, we have a chance to say, yes, there's differing ideas. Yes, there's division. But the Bible shows us we're all in the same boat. We need to value everybody else. God so loved the world. The Apostle Paul even wrote in 1 Corinthians 12, it takes every member of the body. The foot can't feel insecure because it's not a hand. The ear can't feel insecure because it's not an eye, and nobody should lord it over. We need all parts of the body to function. Church can bear witness. We're all in the same boat. We need to have faith in a God of love and justice who gives us courage, no matter what's going on, even if we're ignored, the courage to keep bringing up the vision of life together. And from faith, courage, we get, just be helpful. Share some food. Be a light. Be a beacon. That's what we're talking about at church, that lighthouse. We are given the power to beam out good news in rough seas. To God be the glory. Amen.